Good morning, and please be seated. My name is Dr. Patricia O'Connell Killen, and as Academic Vice President for Gonzaga University, it is my privilege to welcome you all to the university's School of Law commencement. I especially want to welcome the family members and friends of graduates, many of whom have traveled great distances to share with our students the public acknowledgement of their achievements. Your support has helped our graduating law students to do the hard work required to reach this step in their educational journeys. This is a day to celebrate, not only for our graduates, but for all of us assembled here. At this time, I ask that you stand and join the Big Bing Theory, an undergraduate a cappella group, as they sing the American National Anthem, followed by the Canadian National Anthem. We ask that you remain standing after the anthems for the invocation.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming? And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? Patriot love in all thy sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, not true nor strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
It is now my privilege to introduce Father Jack Bentz of the Society of Jesus and chaplain to the School of Law, who will give the invocation.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Almighty God of all things, God of beginnings and of endings, we are here at the ending of 3 years of labor, of effort, of success, of failure. Send your Spirit on us and help us to end well. Fill our speakers with wisdom. Fill all of us with gratitude. Send your life-giving Spirit to be with us today. Amen.
Thank you, Father Bentz. Please be seated. Dr. Thane McCullough is the university's 26th president. A psychologist by discipline, he received his bachelor's degree from Gonzaga University and his Doctor of Philosophy degree from Oxford University in 1998. Dr. McCullough has served the university in numerous roles over his 2+ decades of affiliation with Gonzaga, including holding the positions of Vice President for Administration and Planning and Interim Academic Vice President. Dr. McCullough is equally skilled at engaging difficult policy issues with our Board of Trustees and discussing matters of justice and purpose with our students. He is recognized nationally as a leader in Jesuit Catholic higher education. It is now my honor to introduce President Dr. Thane McCullough.
Good morning, everyone. Academic Vice President Killen, Jody Clute, Molly DeCastro, Justice Stevens, Vice Presidents, Dean Korn, members of the faculty, staff, and administrators, honored guests, and family members, but especially you, the graduates of Gonzaga's class of 2012. What a privilege it is to be with you this morning. Today is a day of giving thanks and celebration for all of us. Today, graduates of the class of 2012, we recognize the remarkable achievements that have led to the granting of your law degree. I would like to personally thank Dean Korn for her service to the law school and university during this past first year. Let us take just a moment to reflect on the meaning of this morning. Some of you entered your graduate program immediately following your undergraduate work, but some of you pursued your law degree having first spent time entering the professions and gaining hands-on practical experience. Some of you here today are accompanied by spouses, daughters, or sons, and extended family, all of whom have also come to celebrate your accomplishments. They know better than most what sacrifices you have made to get to this point in your life and your career. You are aware that I am myself a proud alumnus of Gonzaga University, someone who takes immense pride in the educational experiences afforded to me as an undergraduate. The depth and breadth of my undergraduate experience prepared me well for the academic rigors of my graduate program. But I must admit to you today that I look back on my graduate work as one of the most trying periods of my adult life. Acknowledging the practical reality that I was pursuing my graduate studies in a foreign country, I clearly remember the frustrations which came with having to constantly juggle time for my studies and research with the demands of family, an often unfulfilled desire to maintain friendships, and working to make ends meet. It is thus with sincere appreciation for the sacrifices you and those who love and have supported you have made that I join with my colleagues in congratulating you. We know that you have challenges yet before you, that you are not yet finished, given the bar exam and preparation for it that still awaits you. But commencements, graduations, are at their heart about hope. You, our newest law graduates, go forth today with the hope that emerges from the practical tools that make you competent and capable, the innovative thoughts with which you will apply yourself to solve real problems, and the human and humane values that will sustain you in times of trial. Hope is what makes the future possible, and in a very real way, you, our graduates, are the ones who will define the future of an entire profession that has implications for all of us. You, this morning, fill us with hope. As you go forth from this day, I hope you will carry these thoughts with you. In your dreams and in your aspirations, you carry the hopes and dreams of this university. Your faculty and staff will miss you, but we look forward to celebrating your many achievements to come with you. Without question, you each will find opportunities for success and achievement in your future work. Take time to nourish your heart, your relationships, and your faith along the way. Wherever you go in this life, and whatever good works you choose to pursue, know for certain that God's Holy Spirit is upon you now and will remain with you forever. You have been a gift to us. You inspire us, and we are grateful to have been with you on this part of the journey. It is and has been my honor to serve as your president this year, for it allows me this day, on behalf of the entire Gonzaga community, to wish each and every one of you the best and Godspeed. Congratulations, class of 2012.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce the Dean of the School of Law, Jane Korn. Since her arrival at Gonzaga last July, Dean Korn has brought vitality and vision to the School of Law as she has worked with her faculty to set a course for its future. It has been a pleasure for me to work with her, and on behalf of a grateful university, I offer Dean Korn my appreciation for her excellent leadership. I now invite Dean Korn to come forward to speak and then to confer the Dean's Academic Achievement Award.
members of the class of 2012, President McCullough, AVP Killen, honored guests, friends and families of the graduate, faculty, administrators, and staff. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today for a few minutes. I know that this is a very happy day for you. For many people here, it's bittersweet. We have enjoyed having you with us, but we're sorry to see you go. For me personally and professionally, this day is significant because it is my first graduation as the dean and my first at Gonzaga, a place that has become very special to me in the year that I've been here. I must admit that I was worried about this speech since I began as dean. I worried about comparisons to prior deans as speakers. And then I realized something. Most of you have never been here before, so I didn't need to worry. And so I relaxed a little. I am well aware that on a day of such high excitement as this, what you require, first and foremost, is brevity. I shall not fail you in that respect. Having sat through about 24 graduations, I have naturally wondered why graduation speeches often are kind of bad, today's speakers excluded, of course. One reason is that speakers are usually chosen for their eminence in some field, and not because they're either competent speakers or gifted writers. Another reason is that the audience is eager to be done with all this ceremony and proceed to something else, say, something fun and celebratory. Thus, any speech longer than, say, 15 minutes will seem tedious, if not entirely pointless. But then I came back to the fact that I actually had to say something. My goal is, don't be bad, don't be boring, and don't be long. But what should I talk about? As I thought about my 25 years as a law professor, I could talk about the rules of civil procedure, but that's probably not what the graduates have in mind. I could talk about the shifting burdens of proof in a Title VII action, and that's probably not what you had in mind either. So I decided to talk about our graduates and what a pleasure and privilege it is for all of us at Gonzaga to be involved in your legal education. On that note, I would like to acknowledge your faculty here today who have been with you and worked with you for the last 3 years. I will ask all of the faculty to stand, please. And I ask all of the graduates to join me in thanking them for their work. Thank you. And despite the sometimes overly long speeches, we all love graduation. It reminds us why we do what we do, and sometimes that's easy to forget. You get mired in your day-to-day life, forgetting about the reason you do the work you do. But graduation always reminds us of why we do what we do, because of you. I look out at the sea of faces of this 3L class, and I can see in my mind's eye the first class you came to, sitting in that class, either terrified or perhaps undeservedly overconfident. But Gonzaga Law has had the privilege of seeing you during your first semester. I'm sorry I wasn't here for that. And being able to watch you grow from terrified law students to appropriately confident graduates today. We get to see you change to almost lawyers and about to go out there and do good things. We have spent 3 years teaching you, but note that a good teacher is one who makes him or herself progressively unnecessary. I believe we have met that goal. You are ready to move on. Now, there will be some times when you question what you have chosen to do. Studying for the bar exam will be one of them. But there will also be days in your life as a lawyer when you get mired in the everyday details of life, your bills to pay, the requirement of going to work, the many demands of the practice of law. And there will be days when you are challenged by other lawyers, by clients, or some negative media about lawyers. And on those days, I hope you will have something to bring you back to why you chose this path, why you chose to be a lawyer. To make a change in the life of someone else, to make their life better, to look for the truth, to help someone who had no voice before you, to argue on behalf of someone you believe in, and sometimes for someone you are not sure you believe in because that is the right thing to do, because you are a lawyer. And sometimes you may be called upon to represent a very unpopular cause, and this is when your training may be most important, because the rights you learned about in law school, the rights you care deeply about, are tested most when the cause is unpopular. And I hope that this will also bring you back, as graduation brings all of us on the stage and your faculty back, to why we chose to do what we do. Law school was hard. I know you're happy to be graduating. But some wonderful things happened here, in addition to what you've learned and the lifelong relationships you forged here. You see the world differently now because you're about to be lawyers. Your responsibilities as lawyers make you different. The world sees you differently, and you can make a difference. And you might be thinking right now, I didn't go to law school to change the world, but you will. Every time you help a client with a problem, every time you are their advocate, you have made a difference. It may not make headlines, but to your client, it will be huge. You are graduating at a time when we are facing many challenges. You took a chance. You invested in a legal education, and your investment will pay off. So do not regret the choice you made. Wrap your decision to be a lawyer around you. Be proud of it. Be proud of yourself, of what you have already accomplished, and what you will accomplish in the road ahead of you. Class of 2012, we are already so proud of you. Now be proud of yourselves. Thank you and congratulations.
I now invite Dean Korn back to the podium in order to award the outstanding, the Dean's Academic Achievement Award.
Would Dr. McCullough and Dr. Killen please join me at the center of the stage? Each year, it is our honor to confer the Dean's Academic Achievement Award on a student who has had an exceptional impact on the life of our institution. This year's recipient of the Academic Achievement Award is Francis Joseph Zabari, and I invite him to come forward to receive the award. Francis was born in Akron, Ohio, where he lived with his parents, Joseph and Jane Zabari, his older sister Julie, and younger brother Paul. Frank became interested in the legal profession at a young age with the role models of an aunt who was a prosecuting attorney and an uncle who practiced construction litigation. After receiving his bachelor's degree in psychology at The Ohio State University, Frank decided to pursue his legal career in the Pacific Northwest, drawn by the excellent academic opportunity provided at Gonzaga University, and of course, the outdoor activities available in this region. During law school, Frank served as the executive editor on the Gonzaga Journal of International Law and as an associate editor of the Gonzaga Law Review. He also worked at the Washington State Court of Appeals, the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Washington, and at the Spokane City Prosecuting Attorney's Office. After graduation, Frank plans to move to Boise, where he will take and pass the Idaho Bar. Then he will begin a judicial clerkship at the Idaho Court of Appeals with Judge Melanson. Frank, it is my great privilege to award you this medal. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Korn. Well, it was with great pride and excitement that Gonzaga University and the School of Law elected to confer the 2012 Gonzaga Law Medal on John E. Clute, the beloved former dean of our School of Law. It is with equally great sadness that we are now conferring the Law Medal posthumously. John Clute died 2 weeks ago at his home in Arizona, surrounded by his wife Nancy and family members. I would like to read a portion of his citation. John E. Clute's unfailing loyalty to Gonzaga University was evident from his early days here as a student. It was clear during his time as university trustee and chair, and it shined ever so brightly during his tenure as law dean and professor. When he was chair of the Board of Trustees from 1983 to 1988, he was tireless in his efforts to raise the funds necessary to successfully complete the university's first big capital campaign, and it raised more than $80 million. In 1991, he accepted the deanship of the School of Law, a position to which he had aspired for many years. Clute's vision had long been to build a new facility to house the law school and to ensure its accreditation. With the help of Father Bernard Coughlin, he had accomplished both by the time he stepped down from the deanship in 2001. He had also solidified relationships between the law school and the rest of the university. John Clute graduated from Gonzaga in 1960 after serving a stint in the U.S. Army. He earned his law degree from Gonzaga in 1963. In 1965, he was hired as Assistant General Counsel for Boise Cascade. In 1968, he became General Counsel. In 1970, was promoted to Vice President, and in 1972 was elevated to Senior Vice President and General Counsel. He would serve more than 25 years at Boise Cascade, but he never lost his affection for his alma mater. He was elected to the Gonzaga Board of Regents in 1970 and to the Board of Trustees in 1975. He was given the title Trustee Emeritus in 2006. John Clute always appreciated the influence of the Jesuits on him and others who became a part of the Gonzaga community. Quote, "I have come to have a deep respect for the Society of Jesus and its mission." It was respect, indeed affection for the Jesuits, that caused me to become an active alumnus in volunteering at Gonzaga almost from the day I graduated from law school, end quote. The Gonzaga Law Medal is bestowed by the School of Law upon deserving individuals who have distinguished themselves in the service of justice through the practice of law, as a member of the judiciary, in public employment, or in legal teaching. The Law Medal was created in 1962 in commemoration of the golden anniversary of the founding of the School of Law. It is only fitting, as the School of Law now prepares to celebrate its centennial anniversary, that Gonzaga University bestows upon John E. Clute the 2012 Gonzaga Law Medal for the extraordinary life he lived, emblematic of the Jesuit mission, and for his undying loyalty and service to his beloved alma mater. I would now ask Gary Randall, Gonzaga Regent Emeritus, Law Faculty Emeritus, and close friend of John and Nancy Clute, to escort John's daughters, Jody Clute and Molly DeCastro, to the stage where they will accept the 2012 Gonzaga University Law Medal in their father's name from Dr. McCullough and Dean Korn.
We just want to accept this on behalf of our dad. And when he was alive, he hated a fuss being made about him. What's nice now is that we can make a fuss about him, and he was definitely somebody who was deserving of it. So, Dad, we love you, and thank you very much.
It is now my honor to invite the Honorable Deborah Stevens, Washington State Supreme Court Justice, to join Dr. McCullough and Dean Korn at the center of the stage while I read a portion of her citation. Justice Stevens also will be giving today's commencement address. Show business folks know the story. The overnight sensation whose sudden success masks years of hard work, largely unnoticed by all but a few devoted fans. It is Justice Deborah Williams Stevens' story. Deborah Stevens appeared on the scene when Governor Gregoire appointed her judge for Division III of the Washington Court of Appeals in 2007. Less than a year later came another appointment as justice on the Washington State Supreme Court. Newspapers across the state recorded the meteoric rise of the new judicial star. Yet those who looked saw that a distinguished career preceded these appointments. Specializing in appellate law, Deborah Stevens had appeared before the Washington Supreme Court over 100 times. She also appeared before the Idaho Supreme Court, the Washington Court of Appeals, and as counsel of record before the United States Supreme Court. And those who knew the new justice knew well exactly what to expect. A fair and even-handed jurist, a brilliant mind, common sense, a strong work ethic, a love of the law, and a humble heart. Deborah came to Gonzaga from West Valley High School in the Spokane Valley, where she was student body president. A scholarship debater, she was also a student in Gonzaga's honors program. She graduated from the university with honors in 1987. Later, she was a Thomas More Scholar at Gonzaga School of Law, graduating summa cum laude in 1993. She was awarded Best Oral Advocate in the Nation as a third-year law student in the National Moot Court competition. Remembering her today, Deborah's teachers speak first of her almost startling intelligence, then of her sense of responsibility to others. Deborah Stevens has long been a part of our Gonzaga community, and now at today's commencement ceremony, all of the members of this extended community have come together, graduates, guests, former colleagues, friends, and family, to pay close attention to her words. We are appreciative of her presence, and we are particularly proud today to be honoring her for all she has done. Justice Deborah Stevens has always represented her alma mater well.
Good morning, President McCullough, Dean Korn, faculty, graduates, honored guests, family, and friends. I thank you so much for having this honor of addressing you as Gonzaga School of Law celebrates its 100th year, and as we join in celebrating this outstanding class of 2012. It actually feels like just the other day when I was sitting where you are sitting, but actually it was 19 years ago. And our commencement speaker was Justice Richard Guy, the last justice to hail from Spokane. Now, of course, we thought it was a good omen that we were being addressed by someone who combined the words justice with rich guy. And I'm sorry I can't provide you the same solace today, but I anticipate that somewhere among this class is another Gonzaga graduate, perhaps a Spokane native, who 19 years from now or sooner will address you as a Washington State Supreme Court justice. And before I say another word, let me say Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms among us. For as long as anyone can remember, yes, please. For as long as anyone can remember, Gonzaga has celebrated graduation on Mother's Day weekend. And now that I'm a mom who has a daughter graduating from college in a few short weeks, I understand why. Nothing can match the pride that your mothers and your fathers, spouses, children, and other family and friends feel at your accomplishment in achieving your Juris Doctorate degree. So at least for today, let your mom say there's a doctor in the family. So as I was pondering what I wanted to share with you today, I could not help thinking about a story that has captured the public imagination recently. It is a post-apocalyptic story of young people thrown together into an arena created by sadistic game makers who have devised cruel traps for the unwary and thought of every possible way to throw new hazards into the mix, just when the players begin to hope for mercy. Some players are better prepared than others, but all are pawns in a malevolent game, and none has any chance of survival except by ending the chances of others. Now, some of you may be wondering, what is she talking about? Others are wondering, am I describing the plot of the Hunger Games or the job market for 2012 law school graduates? We all know that the market is tight, and it has been for several years. Winning a job in this arena may seem as impossible as surviving the Hunger Games. But just as the Hunger Games is ultimately a story of triumph, so too is your decision to embark on a legal career in 2012. You are entering the legal arena at a time in history when you are needed the most, and you are starting your legal career at a time when the possibilities for reimagining the role of lawyers in society is more promising than ever. Let me explain. First, you are entering the legal profession at a time of unprecedented need. Yes, you rarely hear this, but the world needs more lawyers. The face of the profession in Washington State is changing. Practicing lawyers in Washington are mainly baby boomers, expected to reach retirement age in the next decade. Behind this wave of baby boomers is a ripple of young lawyers in their 20s and 30s. Fewer lawyers have been entering the profession in recent years, and the number of individuals taking the LSAT and entering law school is down dramatically. So here you stand, the class of 2012, on the cusp of great opportunity. Opportunity also exists to address right now and going forward the legal needs of your unrepresented neighbors. Back in 2003, Washington conducted a civil legal needs study, which will be updated again in the coming year, actually 2 years. And that study found that low-income people in Washington State do not receive the civil legal aid they need up to 85% of the time. And while there is one lawyer for every 500 people in America who can afford to pay market rate for legal services, there is only one lawyer for every 6,800 people of low income. A similar gap exists between need and legal services for people of moderate means, above 200% of the federal poverty level, but still among the working poor. Last year, the Washington State Bar Association formalized the first moderate means legal representation program in cooperation with Gonzaga and Washington's 2 other law schools. Unfortunately, this program, whose goal is to connect eligible clients with lawyers willing to provide services at a reduced fee, launched just as the bar suffered a rollback in licensing fees that threatens the continuation of its public service programs. But I am proud, as a ZAG, that Gonzaga is a committed partner in the Moderate Means program, and I am hopeful that it will expand through the support of this institution of participating lawyers and community partners. And I encourage all of the new lawyers entering the practice in 2012 to get involved in providing legal services to people of moderate means. Gonzaga graduates, I believe, are uniquely positioned to lead the next generation of lawyers to meet the growing legal needs of low and moderate income people. As part of your education, you have been steeped in a culture of service. You have been trained to use your legal skills to address real problems faced by real people, and I hope you have been inspired to use your degree to make the world a better place. Those of you who choose to remain in Washington will soon pass the Washington State Bar exam. Pause, and that is true, it will happen. And you will take the oath of attorney, which states in part, I will never reject from any consideration personal to myself the cause of the defenseless or oppressed, or delay unjustly the cause of any person. Remember those words, savor those words, and put them into action. Let this oath awaken in you a passion for service, especially to those who need your help the most. I can't explain, one can only feel the satisfaction that comes from helping someone navigate the legal system and find justice. And I know how it feels to be a new attorney. You question whether you have the experience or the skill to go out and help a client today. But just imagine how it feels to be pro se. You need to trust your education, trust your training. You know more than you think you know. I think your professors would vouch for that. You know more than you think you know, and you have all of the tools to help clients in need. We all have to have a first client, and that is important. But what is more important is that you can be someone's first lawyer. Finally, you have an opportunity to reimagine the practice of law. This is an exciting era in the justice system. Innovative court systems, alternative models for dispute resolution, and creative approaches to lawyering are all moving into the mainstream. We are a generation into the virtual law office, the development of therapeutic courts, the creation of online legal information delivery systems. Many believe, and I share this belief, that monolithic big law is being replaced by a streamlined small law model. Lawyers are rediscovering the satisfaction of client-centered lawyering. So to those who say that there are no more lawyers like Atticus Finch, the hero of To Kill a Mockingbird, I say Atticus Finch is alive and well. It's just that now he has a smartphone and a Facebook page, interactive forums for his clients to use, and a mobile office. Reimagining the practice of law also involves rediscovering the essential human connection that forms the experience of justice. And I do believe justice is not a state of being, but an experience that is created individually and collectively. We cannot take justice for granted. Through our work, we generate it every day. And like electricity, if we don't continue to generate justice, the lights go out. I know we can trust in the class of 2012 to keep the light of justice burning and to do it in small ways every day through the connections you make with the clients you represent, with the community in which you live, with your fellow lawyers, with something that is greater than any one of us can be by ourselves. My heartfelt congratulations go out to all of you on this very special day. This day is also part of your personal experience of justice. So as soon as I step down, you can start to celebrate and enter this new arena, not with the fear of players in the Hunger Games, but enter this arena with the confidence that comes from knowing the outcome. You know this story has a happy ending. So experience justice, generate justice. To clumsily paraphrase Mahatma Gandhi, be the justice that you hope to see in the world. Godspeed, best of luck, and best wishes for success to all of you, the class of 2012. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Stevens. Each year, the graduating class selects one of its own to speak at commencement. This year, John Barrett Nelson has been chosen for this honor. John was born in Lubbock, Texas, and is the son of Mary Jo Salerno and John N. Nelson. He has no siblings, but claims 2 dogs, Stud and Stella, as family members. John received his undergraduate degree from Whitman College in Walla Walla, Washington, where he majored in chemistry. John is married to Kaylin Nelson, who is also graduating from our School of Law at today's ceremony. John just passed the patent bar, and he will be working for K&L Gates here in Spokane as a patent attorney. I would welcome John to the stage.
Well, welcome to all, and I wanted to first say thanks to all of the faculty and administrators, our family and friends, and all of our distinguished guests for taking the time to celebrate this commencement with us here today. I can certainly say that it's been quite a long time coming, but I can speak for the rest of my class, I think, when I say that we are very thankful for all of your support and for your presence today. Now to my law school class. You know, I remember sitting in the courtroom with all of you at the law school during that first week of orientation. Somebody said to us, "Everyone, look to your left and look to your right. One of those people will not make it through law school and graduate with you." But now, I look out upon my colleagues, and most of us are here. We've made it all the way through to this day. And I'll have everyone that isn't a law school student, I'll have you know that this class has made it through something that no other law school class at no other law school has ever made it through. We have endured perspectives class. But we did make it through, and it was a very trying times in our lives. And we've all given up quite a bit to walk across this stage. But I'm not talking about giving up money or time. Personally, I know that most of us have given up any degree of normalcy that we once had before we came to law school. As for me, I used to be pretty fun. I used to hang out and go to parties. Yeah, that's right, Scott Dowell, where are you? There he is. Scott was voted most likely to be found at the bar by our graduating class today. And contrary to popular belief, I used to kick it just like Scott Dowell does. And you know, there's something else that I know I've given up, and it's like 2 inches of my hairline from learning about law school. And another thing is, I'm told that there's this thing in life, it's called a weekend. Now, I can't recall it very much, but I'm told that it's where there's 2 consecutive days where you don't work at all, and you don't even think about work during that time. Well, now that law school's over, if any of you experience this phenomenon known as a weekend, please give me a call and let me know how awesome it must be. And my idea of a good time has also changed. Before law school, I used to think that a good time was anything that didn't involve school or work. But now, I can say that drinking no more than half a beer with my moot court team after competition and discussing intellectual property law just seems to be the stuff that dreams are made of. And I wish I could say that I made that example up, but it's actually a true story. It happened. And so there you go. But you know, we've traded our normalcy and our social abilities and our money for quite a few valuable skills. For example, we can now form a coherent argument, and we can now read and write critically, and I'd like to personally thank Professor Simpson for giving me those skills. And now we know the difference between a trademark and a patent, and I'd like to thank Professor Lynch for taking the time and effort to teach me those skills. And you know what else? Now we can hear someone discussing mens rea, and we know that it's a mental state as opposed to a horrible bathroom experience. And we are more willing to question the information that's given to us. And some of us are more willing to ask questions than others. Just ask Matt Parker, who was voted most likely to raise his hand in class. And now we can hear the word tort, and unlike normal folks who think of the dessert, all that we can seem to think about are the elements of negligence. And now we view the world through the lens of liability. So if any of you all see any of us staring awkwardly and silently up at a tree branch one day, it's because law school has taught us to no longer see a tree branch. Now, all we're trying to determine is whether there's sufficient constructive knowledge to see if the decay on that tree branch will cause liability to the owner if it falls on the neighboring house. And I guess if I had any degree of normalcy before I started this thing, it probably just evaporated with that example right there. We've also learned how to spend literally days in the library, surviving on nothing more than coffee and the fear of failure. Just ask Frank Zabari, our Dean's Medal Award winner today, and he who is voted most likely to be found in the library. And now, on a more serious note, we've also been given the skills, as Dean Corn told us, to do good for other people. Just like Eiley Cotto and Owen Mooney who are voted most likely to do the most good in this class. In short, we've become better thinkers, better questioners, and critics. But I guess that's why we came to law school, and that's why we came to Gonzaga. You know, I asked quite a few people what I should or should not say in this speech today, and a lot of them told me to not thank anyone personally because I'm supposed to be the class respondent, and I'm not up here representing myself. So I won't spend any of my remaining time today thanking my family and relatives for their undying help and guidance over these last 3 very long years. And I won't spend any time thanking my beautiful wife, Kaylin, who is also graduating with us today, for her love and what has seemed like quite a bit of patience with me over this law school experience. But what I was told to do was to give a couple pieces of advice. But you know, that sounds very strange to me because the fact is that we've all made it through law school together. We've all had similar experiences, and we're all here today on this stage. And actually, unlike many of you, I've never held a real job before. I mean, I've worked during the summers and part-time during school, but many of you have much more life experience than I do. For example, we have graduates in this class who've served and fought in the U.S. military to protect this country. We have graduates who have owned businesses and who still own businesses through law school. We have those that were in the healthcare profession and those who taught high school to inner city students. If anything, I'm hoping that you all will call upon your experiences and give me advice now and in the future. So, while I hope to work with, and most probably against, many of you, I am equally hopeful just to run into you all on the street or at the courthouse or on a business flight. And when that happens, let's make some time for each other. Let's sit down, let's grab a Starbucks, or if it's after 5, let's grab a real drink. And we can give each other advice on how to be better attorneys and better people moving forward. So with that, I'm proud to have had the opportunity to share this day and the last 3 years of my life with you all. Thank you for helping me through law school, and specifically for giving me the honor and privilege of addressing you all today. Best of luck in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you, John. The members of the class of 2012 have selected one of their faculty members to address the class today. Anne M. Murphy is a professor here at Gonzaga University School of Law, and this is her 12th year of teaching. She has her Bachelor of Science and Master of Arts in Economics degrees from Western Illinois University, as well as her JD from DePaul University College of Law. Professor Murphy was awarded a Fulbright lecturer position in the People's Republic of China for the 2007-2008 academic year. She is a former attorney for the Internal Revenue Service, District Council, San Francisco, and Portland. Professor Murphy has authored numerous books and articles on tax law, evidence, wills and trusts, and elder law. Please welcome Professor Anne Murphy.
Hello, I'm Anne Murphy, and as I was sitting there hearing Internal Revenue Service, I just said, oh. And my colleague, George Critchlow, said, you can't escape that. And I realized that. So it's all about you today, graduates. And I thank you so much for this honor, because it really, really is an honor. And I hope I can give you a little bit of words of wisdom. I'm going to tell you things I did wrong and things I think I did right. but I wanted to start with you, and I wanted to ask you to pause for a minute and think about something in the last 3 years, the thing of which you're most proud, something in the last 3 years that really, really made you proud of yourself. And I'll bet it wasn't that exam that you skated by. And I doubt very much it was that paper you did at the last minute. I'll bet it was something you worked really, really hard on. You gave it your all. You gave it everything you had. And as some people would say, if you're an Olympian, you left it all in the pool. And I think that if you think back of your 3 years, that will tell you something, that working hard and really giving it your all means something. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So I want to tell you, first of all, what not to do, and something that I did. And I was a trial attorney, and so when I began, I didn't know what I was doing, I mean, at all. And so I had a petition, and I went to a colleague. I'm not going to ask my boss. And so I went to a colleague, and I said, what do I do? And he said, well, you do an answer. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. You would do an answer to a petition. How do I do an answer? I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing. But once I got going, I got so involved in me and how I was going to be the best lawyer ever. And I was going to be the best oral argument person ever. And it was all about me. And I forgot that I was dealing with people's lives. And especially because I did trial work, I was so involved in evidence. And I would think about that hearsay exception and the exception to the exception. And I'd look in my rules and I'd say, yes, there it is. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've lost my humanity. I really have. And it took me a while. It was finally about my 5th or 6th year when somebody said to me, you know what, I know I'm gonna lose. And he was. And he said, but you know what, I'm gonna go forward anyway because this is important, this is the right thing. And it was a really strange case because what had happened was Congress changed the law after this guy filed his tax return. So that when he filed it correctly. But Congress changed the law, and guess what? They made it retroactive. And guess what? They can do that. Doesn't that just kill you? That's Congress. And so, you know, I sat with him. He was the nicest man. And I sat with him, and I said, you know what? I do exactly the same thing. I admire you for doing that. And my heart wasn't in it at all. I had to argue the case because I worked for the government. That was my client. And I had to do it. But, you know, I really admired that man. And I thought, good for you. Go for it, do it, you know, call them on it. Stick it to the man. And I changed at that point, and I'm really glad I did. And I started seeing people as people. And so even though I had to do my very best in representing my client, I also realized I'm dealing with lives here. It's not a game. And I was thinking of it as a game. I was thinking of it as this is me. This is all about me. It's not. It's not at all. And so as I talk to you today, I tell you that's something I really did wrong. And I'll tell you something I did right, because I have to do the other side, of course. I always treated people with respect. When I was meeting with them, prior to the trial, of course, when I went all out, but when I was meeting with them in settlement conferences, what I would say to myself is treat them like your parents. Treat them with respect. Don't be a jerk. And so I say to you today, our profession has a little bit of a reputation of being jerky. And so don't be that jerk. Don't be a jerk. And so I always think, you know, what happens? Do we stand up and say, I'll be the jerk. I'll be the jerk. I volunteer to be the jerk. Or I'll be the pompous jerk. I'll do it. You know, I'll be the arrogant blowhard. How do we end up that way? And you really wonder, why do we end up that way? And I think a lot of it is the nature of the beast. And so we're arguing about a semicolon versus a comma. And no one knows what we're talking about, but it's important. And we'll argue about shall instead of may. And everyone else is going, what? And I think it's important to describe to people, to help people understand why shall is so different from may, and why a semicolon really makes a big difference. But to the outside world, they think we're crazy. And so it's up to you to describe to them, to help them understand why we're doing what we're doing, that we're not just being jerks. Okay, some of us are, but usually we're not trying to be jerks. So I wanted to tell you that. I also want to tell you that I think it's really important to say yes. And of all people, I was listening the other day, maybe a month ago, to the radio, and it was actually somebody who had been Denny Crane on a television show. And he was talking about his life as this fake lawyer. And what he ended up saying is say yes. You're not going to regret saying yes. You're going to regret saying no. And he talked about this little animal in a hole and how it sticks its head out. And a whole bunch of the animals will just stay under the ground, and they're really happy, and they'll just be there, and they're, you know, kind of boring, to be quite frank. But there's the one that'll stick its head out, and it'll look up, and you know what? It might be picked off by an eagle. It might. But you know what? Go for it. Say yes. Be the one who's going to run across the field and hopefully not be picked off by an eagle. Because it's important. You'll never regret that. It's really, really important to say yes. So on behalf of the faculty, I want to tell you that we're really going to miss you. And I know we've been kind of a pain in the neck sometimes, and you may have been very frustrated with some of the things we've done, but we really care about you. We really do. Okay, not every single one of you, but almost every single one of you. And now the parents are going, is it my kid who's the one they don't care about? I don't know. We really adore you. You've meant a lot to us, and we want you to keep in touch. And I'm so glad that we have email. I know, I'm showing my age. Email, really? We have Facebook, we have texts. And so please keep in touch, because we'll miss you a lot. And one last thing I wanted to say to the parents and the family members and the spouses and the children. Unfortunately, you don't have them just yet. And so it's just one last big blast. And so if you can be patient with your graduate while they study for that teeny little quiz that is the bar exam, they just need a little bit more. And so I want to tell the graduates, you know what? Go wild for a week. I mean, as my husband would say, drive it like it's stolen. Just go crazy. But then settle down and be sure to get your little rear sitting in that little chair, and it's so boring. And I'll tell you what my father used to say, and I never understood it. I thought, what are you talking about? And he would say, Anne, the mind can only absorb what the rear end can stand. I was like, but what are you talking about? The mind can only absorb what the rear end can stand. And what he was saying is, sit down, do the work, learn it, and then spit it all out, promptly forget it. That's what I did. So make it one time. You don't want to do it again. And so I ask for your patience, all the family and friends, because they're going to need it. It's a long haul, but we're going to make sure they pass the first time and not have to do it again. Thank you so much, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you, Professor Murphy. During this past 3L year, our law students have begun in earnest to think about their futures. They have worked with the law school's Center for Professional Development, gotten advice from many different sources, and crafted the perfect resume and the superb cover letter. They have participated in mock interviews and real interviews. They have networked, talking to everyone they know to find a job in this challenging economy. Their final exams are behind them, and after some celebration of their accomplishment, they will prepare to take the bar exam in their respective states. And after they pass the bar exam, they will officially begin their lives as attorneys. Some of them will work in law firms, some will work in government, some will work in public interest organizations, and some will follow a less traditional path. Whatever path they take in their careers, we know that they are well prepared, and we wish them every success. Will Dr. McCullough please come to the center of the stage? The names of the candidates for degrees will now be read by Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Vicki Williams. The candidates will be hooded by Dean Korn and Assistant Dean of Students, John Skloot.
President McCullough and Vice President Killen, by virtue of the authority vested in Gonzaga University by the state of Washington, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the following candidates for the Juris Doctor degree. Ryan Stephen Adlish. Haley Marie Alexander, cum laude. Timothy Amiot. Christopher Arthur Anderson. Tanya Marie Baldwin. Diana Joy Barker. Diana is our youngest graduate. She just turned 21 in June of 2011. Eric James Besant, cum laude. Kathleen Sophia Box. Lindsay Rebecca Box. Miles Marcus Brenner. Kelly Ann Burns. Ryan Michael Busby, magna cum laude. Jessica Laureen Campbell, cum laude. Jared Russell Causey. Paul Joseph Shawn, magna cum laude. Annie Xiaopeng Chow. Billy G. Childress, JD MBA, magna cum laude. Robert R. Colbert, magna cum laude. Sean M. Collins. Thomas Edward Creekpalm III. Roxanne Davis, cum laude. Thomas Scott Dowell. Colleen Malia Durkin. Joseph Timothy Edwards, magna cum laude. Carolita Ann Ellerson. Allison Christine Erickson. Alex Dean Ferguson. Kevin Michael Fitzgerald. Brad W. Feldheim. Joseph Patrick Fortunato. Stanislaus Fairchild Foucault. Angelina Rose Frazee. Craig Lawrence Friedrichs, cum laude. Jacqueline J. Gaddy, cum laude. Eric John Gardner. Peter K. Godders. Zachary Michael Goril. Stephen Paul Grant, magna cum laude. Robert William Grimm, cum laude. Ana Luisa Gutierrez. Daniel Edward Guos. Benjamin Andrew Hartnett. Brent Allen Haslam, cum laude. Christine Darlene Hayes, magna cum laude. Christopher Matthew Homer. Jeremy Alexander Hoops, JD, MBA. Edward Tyler Howell, cum laude. Reese Michael Ryzek. William Michael Hubanks. Jalen Ripplinger Jenkins, cum laude. Reed Vincent Jennings. Alexandria Tina John, magna cum laude. Hugo Cornelius Johnson IV, cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth Carstetter. Ailey E. Cotto, summa cum laude. Erica Murphy Keach, cum laude. Eric Albin Cook, cum laude. Carolina Sylvia Kulesha, cum laude. Danielle Lynn LaBelle. Emily Ann LaCourse, magna cum laude. Wes Scott Larson, JD, MBA. David Yaozhong Li. Derek Paul Luzzi. Andrew Scott Lillywhite. Jeffrey Cornell Ludlow II. Ian James McLaren. Candace Lynn Magnan. Lori Camille Mallory. David Leland Mann. Ryan Christian Mansfield. Drew Francis Matern. Benjamin J. McDonald, cum laude. Jennifer Therese McLeod, cum laude. Matthew Shelley Mearns. Mark Brandon Melter, JD MBA, summa cum laude. Lucas Seth Michaels. Jonathan Gregory Miller. Christina Renee Montanez. Owen Richard Mooney, magna cum laude. Joni Minette Morse, cum laude. Andres Moses. Nicholas Andrew Mosey. John Barrett Nelson, magna cum laude, class respondent. Kaylin Margaret Nelson, magna cum laude. Peter P. Wynn. Seth M. Neeson, cum laude. Sunshine Sue Ingrid Nelson, cum laude. John Scott Norris. Garrett James Oliverson, JD MBA. Jacqueline Anita Olson. Shannon Bomey Pay. Megan Kathleen Paladin, JD MBA. Matthew George Parker. Jonathan William Paramore. Lindsay Ann Paxton. Pamela Lynn Peters, magna cum laude. Jacqueline Kelly Peterson. Justin Robert Pluger, JD Masters in Accounting. Karen Lynn Praxel, cum laude. Danielle Lynn Purcell. Stephen J. Ramel. John Albert Roshko. Stephen Paul Reeder. Jennifer Marie Richards. John Stephen Roberts, Jr., cum laude. Colin Scott Robinson. Pilar Anaya Rodarte. Patrick Burton Rooks. Daniel Seth Rosenbaum. Nathan Seth Rothschild, cum laude. Barrett Joseph Schultz, cum laude. Michael Francis Sherman. William Sjogren. Michael Taylor Shumway, cum laude. Katie Lynn Sinclair, cum laude. Lauren Elizabeth Summer, cum laude. Joseph M. Sorensen. Lloyd Brandon Stallings, magna cum laude. Ian Wilder Stam, cum laude. Jennifer Jean Stash. Rocky Jacob Steele. Jessica Therese Stevenson. Jeremiah Trent Stoddard. Alexander Gregory Tekach. Joshua Aaron Trainey. Ella B. Trujillo, cum laude. Brett Jeffrey Urich, cum laude. Sean Joseph Umipig. Tara Patricia Umipig, cum laude. Michael Louis Vander Giesen, summa cum laude. Tyler Scott Waite, cum laude. Sherilyn Walden, cum laude. Cade Hepburn Walker. Jared Guyman Walker. Stephen Douglas Walker. Paul Benjamin Weber. Anne Elizabeth Wenger, cum laude. Scott Paul Williams. Stephen Andrew Wellert. Rollin Christopher Wood. Benjamin T. Ibarra. Laurel Louise Yesney, cum laude. Francis Joseph Zebari, summa cum laude, winner of the Dean's Academic Medal. Jilan. Jilan is our visiting exchange student from the Southwest University of Political Science and Law in Chongqing, China.
On behalf of a grateful university, let me express profound thanks to our invited speaker, Justice Deborah Stevens, and to Jody Clute and Molly DeCastro. Please accept our deepest sympathy. Today is the day that together with your family and friends, we honor you, our graduates, and all you have accomplished. We all share in your hopes and dreams for the future. As we send off the graduating law class of 2012, it is our hope that each of you continues to search for the truth and to embrace all the challenges of life with open minds, open hearts, and a courageous spirit. It is our wish that you will remember us and come back often to visit us. President McCullough and honored guests, it is my honor to present to you the graduating class of 2012. At this time, I ask that you all please stand for the benediction that will be offered by Father Bentz.
Generous God of all creation, bless your sons and daughters as they go forth from here. Bless them with eyes that see beauty in all things. Bless them with ears to hear the cry of the poor and those that need them most. Bless them with hearts big enough to love the world into fullness. We ask all this in the name of Christ, our brother and Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father Bentz. I invite each of our graduates and their families to a social at the School of Law, which is located to the south of the McCarthy Athletic Center. This concludes Gonzaga University's School of Law commencement ceremony.